Hello students of business studies, welcome to today's session. And before going into today's session, I shall recap what I had taught in the last session. I had taught about what is risk, and what are the characteristic features of risk, and what are the causes for failures in business. So today I shall be discussing with you the types of risks. The types of risks. So, how many types of risks are there? There are 9 types of risks. There are 9 types of risks. And the first risk is under the head called strategic risk. What do you mean by the word strategy? Strategy means planning. If the planning goes in the right way, then the organization would not face a risk. But if the planning goes in a wrong way, then the organization will face heavy risk. So you will face a risk of loss. So the strategic risk here means an organization entering into a different area of business. And when an organization enters into a different area of business, there is a lot of risk involved. And this kind of risk, due to this kind of movement from a known business area to an unknown business area, is called strategic risk. For example, Tata Steels. Tata Steels, they are masters in manufacturing of steels, but then Ratan Tata decided to enter into the manufacturing of nano business, which unfortunately failed because Ratan Tata had entered into a field in which he didn't have much of experience. Similarly, Raymond's, the manufacturing company that manufactures cloths. So here Raymond's, they entered into the cement business about which they were not familiar with. So this type of mistakes causes heavy risk for an organization. So this is called strategic risk. Strategic risk means taking risk by entering into a different area of business to which an organization is not familiar. And why does risk come in when an organization moves into an unfamiliar area? Because strategies planned by an organization, whether it is internal strategies or external strategies, it doesn't suit with the environment. That is why it is mentioned here. Strategy is inconsistent with the internal and external environment of the organization. So, if an organization is moving to a new area of business with which it is not familiar, it means that it is that the movement to an unfamiliar area means that it is inconsistent with the internal and the external environment of the organization. Second, when an organization is at a high risk when it acquires another organization. So when it acquires another organization, it means it involves a lot of investment. So that's a kind of risk. So that is called as high cost acquisition. Then entering into an unknown market. Then again, risk is for an organization if it is entering into an unknown market, for which I had already cited 2 examples, one that of Tata Steel and another that of Raymond's. Now this is called strategic risk. Now the second kind of risk is called financial risk. Financial risk can happen in an organization where the finance is dwindling down. Dwindling down means going down. And another kind of risk under this head is called reduced sale volume. If the sale volume of an organization is going down, then it is again into financial risk. Then cash flow. If the cash flow is not proper, it is not in time, then the organization is undergoing financial risk. Then launching of shares when the share market is low. Suppose if an organization launches shares when the share market is very low, then the organization runs into risk. Then mismanagement of funds. If an organization manages its available funds in an unproductive manner, then it runs into risk. So all these kind of risk comes under the head called financial risk. Then operational risk. The heading itself suggests what are the operational risks. So for example, labor problems, breakdown in the manufacturing plant, then shortage of machinery, shortage of raw material, then shortage of working capital. All these are called as operational risk. What is the result of this? Because of shortage of labor problem, breakdown in the plant, machinery shortage, shortage of raw material, shortage of working capital, the ultimate result is that the output becomes low, and once the output becomes low, the sales go down and the earnings go down. And all said and done, with all these problems in an organization, the organization will have to give salary and wages to the people working in that organization. So this is a really very tough situation, and this is how the risk is induced in operational procedures. Then compliance risk. This heading, compliance. Compliance means cooperation. Compliance means cooperation. So what is the cooperation that I am talking about here? Failure to follow important laws, regulations and rules. See, government sets in laws, rules and regulations for business organizations, and the business organizations will have to follow these laws, rules and regulations. If they don't follow these laws, rules and regulations, then they are into risk of closing down. For example, Companies Act 2013, it states that board of directors should have meeting quite frequently. Board of directors should hold meeting. If this rule is not followed, then the company runs at risk. Second, similarly, there is another rule set by the government that big corporates who are earning huge profits, they should spend 2% of their earnings on CSR, that is corporate social responsibilities. So what is corporate social responsibilities? That is giant corporates which earn in crores and crores and crores. These people will have to spend 2% of their earnings in building up this society or doing something good for this society. That is called social responsibility. So this is called as corporate social responsibility. Now if huge companies which earn crores and crores and crores of money, and if they are not following this regulation, then their organization can come down to a closing down point. So this is called as compliance risk. Then competition. Now I am going to discuss the risk area, that is the risk due to competition and market rates. What can we discuss under this head? Under this head, here we have competitor activities. If a company called A does not observe the competitor activities of company B, then it runs into the risk of losing the market. Then innovations pose a big threat to companies. Say for example, if a company is very much convinced of selling the old type of products, and they don't create any innovations, then any other company which comes out with the innovations of the same product, then the A company will lose its market. So new product introduction. If a company continues to manufacture only the old type of conventional products and it doesn't introduce any new type of products, then the company has got all the chances to lose its popularity and name in the market. Then better services and prices. If an organization gives better service, in the form, say for example, if a business organization does better service in the form of home delivery, and if another company which also manufactures the same product but does not do home delivery, then the company that is doing home delivery and offering still more extra benefits to the customers, then that company will gain more acceptance of the customers rather than the company that is adamant and not willing to change in their service patterns. So that is what is better service. And then prices. Suppose if a company markets good quality product at a reasonable rate, then the company will have profits. But on the other hand, if the quality of the product is not good and the rate is also economical, then the company has the risk of losing its market share. Say for example, Flipkart and Amazon, they do marketing on online basis, and they offer all the facilities which organizations on offline do not give. So this is how Flipkart and Amazon scores over offline business organizations. Say for example, Jio now gave so much of benefit to customers that they overtook Airtel and Airtel became a failure. Airtel became a failure. Similarly, for example, low cost aviation. Now, passenger aircraft which carried passengers, they offered travel at low cost. Now this affected the railways. Similarly, failure to study the customer's need. Now an organization, if it has to grow in the market and if it has to succeed earning more profit, then it has to understand the need of the customer. Without understanding the need of the customer, it cannot flourish in the market. So that is the last factor. Failure to study the customer needs also causes risk for an organization. Then environmental factors. The environmental factors are also responsible for causing risk. Say for example, earthquake, floods.
Sir, 1 minute.
So environmental factors include earthquakes and floods which destroy the market, and the distribution system. Similarly, non-compliance with the government rules. If the organization does not comply with the rules and regulations framed by the government as far as pollution is concerned, then the organizations will have to shut down. Suppose if an organization does not follow the rules and regulations set by the government regarding the rules pertaining to non-pollution of air, water and land, then the organizations will have to face risk. So next risk is called a reputational risk. Now big companies, they flourish because of their reputation in the market. So if a company undergoes financial losses, if a very popular company undergoes financial losses, or it has losses due to disreputation cost in the society, then it runs into a risk. So this is called reputational risk. Then credit risk. Another risk is called credit risk. Suppose if an organization is not in a position to repay all the loans that it had taken, then it runs into risk. That is called non-repayment of repayment failures. Then you have non-payment of dues. Suppose if a company has borrowed money and if it is not able to pay back the dues at the right time, then it runs into the risk. Then next head is called innovative risk. New ideas, methods and services are all called innovative risk. Suppose if a company does not create any new ideas, it does not adopt any new method, and it does not create any change in its services or in its products, then it runs into risk. Furthermore, customer's choice. If the organization does not understand the customer's choice, then again it runs into risk. So, a company, if it wants to introduce new products or new ideas, the company should make it a policy that it should make the customers aware that a particular organization is going to introduce a new kind of service or a new kind of product, so that the customers become aware of the organization's effort. So, my dear children, I hope you must have understood all these points which I discussed today under the head called types of risk. Tomorrow I shall continue with the next segment of business risk. Thank you very much.